Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time it is. I am keeping to my word that I'm going to continue to hold this space and talk about spatial health and wellness. But today I'm actually going to deviate just a little bit. Not really, but I want to talk about something different than what I intended to. And today I actually want to talk about why confidentiality is such a core value for self-care housekeeping and also for spatial health and wellness as a practice. And this thought, this urging came about after I witnessed something online that made me very, very uncomfortable. Quite frankly, it pissed me off, if I'm being honest. So I'll start there just to give you some backdrop, and then we'll talk about why confidentiality when it comes to spatial health and wellness is so critically important when you're talking about a human being. So the post that I saw, it was a few days ago, and I was scrolling along, as you do, and I saw this person with this really urgent post make this really urgent post defending their friend who apparently was under some fire from a person that they thought that they were helping. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of what was said and all of the things, whatnot. For one, first of all, I don't think the person who made the post that I saw had any right to discuss these things in this person at all. And then for two, I think the person who was getting some flack from that individual might have not realized that perhaps they violated that person's humanity. So I'm not going to get into all of that because I'm not going to continue that narrative. But what I do want to talk about is broad strokes what happened and the impact that could possibly have been, the core issue here between these folks. So the person who made this post, they were defending their friend and said that someone that they attempted to help was online, blasting them and saying whatever they were saying about whatever their circumstances were. Essentially, their friend attempted to help this other person with their children, and then without consent or knowledge or anything, invited themselves into this person's home and saw that it was in a state, which what I know and what we know, it was a state of crisis perhaps, but took it upon themselves to invite themselves in and then clean the home, which for someone, like it's easy to feel like, oh, like that's such a nice thing to do. But here's the thing, they had no knowledge or consent, from the owner of the home to come into the home first. Like they weren't invited. Like there's no conversation from what I gleaned. There was no conversation at all. Like there's no knowledge that this person was coming there because again they were trying to do a favor for the family or whatnot. And there was no knowledge. So they invited themselves into the home without consent, and then they continue to then clean the home, which also means that you were touching their things, you were rummaging through their things, you were opening doors, you were engaging with their space, right? The most vulnerable thing a human being has outside of their actual body. Like so like you, a person who, and let's be clear, I don't even know if they know each other. Like I don't even know if these people know each other, if they just live in proximity with each other. But regardless, you were not invited into their home, and you definitely were not invited to then engage with their home. Now, however it happened, whatever happened after that, and there were some other circumstances that were like whatever was going on there, but apparently somebody, and I don't know who, but somebody took pictures of this person's home, who, again, no consent to enter, no consent to clean or do anything. And so not only did they do that, they took pictures of this person's home. And then somebody, somewhere, posted before and after pictures of their home. Now, I don't know if it first ended up on the internet or if it first was like a intercommunal thing and it turned into like whatever and then it ended up on the internet. But it's the fact that it happened at all. Now, if you know me, you know I was baking, baby. I was fuming when I saw this. Like now, initially, and so the way that the post that I saw, right, from this third party friend or whoever, what I saw was her, kind of going off and defending her friend or whatever, whatever. And I saw immediately like, and I don't know this person. I don't know what the circumstances were or why they ended up in conflict. But as a human being, as a person, and also as a practitioner of spatial health and wellness, what I could see is that, oh, like, yeah, this person's space was violated, like, and their reaction makes sense to me. Like you violate my home, like you enter my home without consent, you touch my things without my consent or knowledge. You dehumanize me. There's pictures of my home. Like I don't know if you saw them before, after, or whatnot, but you do all of those things. Like yeah, I would probably react too. However, I would react is my business, but that's my business because I was violated. So initially, I was like, oh yeah, like I could see someone reacting to that point. But then as I continue to scroll down, this person then shared the pictures of this person's home. And I lit up like a Christmas light, baby. I lit up. I was like, oh my goodness, how violent. How violent. And and the worst part of it is that this is not like a uncommon thing, right? Like this is something that happens all of the time, which also makes sense why this person would find it okay to do that, especially because like this fake sense of morality, right? Like, oh well, your home was that way, therefore I have every right to put you on blast. Oh well, you did this, and this was the circumstances that was going on, so you have no right to confidentiality. You have no right to dignity and privacy. You have no right to it. What? Like what? Why is that the thing? Why is that the thing? I can't. I really just can't. But again, like it's not an uncommon thing. So this was happening here, and yeah, if you saw me, kind of bugging out a little bit, yes, it was me, and yeah, it just was me. But this is why we're talking about human beings, like humans being. I don't know what that person is going through or was going through. What I do know is space. I do know like spatial health and wellness. I know the head heart home connection. I know whatever's happening inside is happening outside too. I know what a space in crisis looks like and feels like. I know what trauma looks like in a space. I know all of those things. I know what dysfunctional systems look like. I know what overwhelm looks like. I know what overstimulation looks like and toxic shame. And so to put someone's vulnerability online, because like even if like and I'll give some grace to the person who called themselves helping, because I think somewhere maybe in there they actually were trying to help in some ways. But also, I'm not going to excuse or brush past the fact that their their actions violated someone. And then the act of taking pictures of their home is such a clear violation of that person. So though like in some ways like there was a lot of like help and like oh this is whatever, I think it's important for us to look at like what our intentions are behind things when we're helping people. Like what is this help for, right? Like, and did that help put her and her family in a worse position than the help itself? Like, were they better off in the circumstances they were in before you showed up and started helping? So yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna jump off of there because I like again like I don't know those folks. I don't know the circumstances. Like I do get pretty like protective when people are violated generally, but in this particular way when I see that, I get very activated and I get very protective because how dare you treat another human being like that? And so that being the reason, like that is literally the reason why confidentiality is such a core value for self-care housekeeping. It has always been. Matter of fact, it was the catalyst for me starting self-care in the first place. Now, to know me is to know that I'm diagnosed. I think I might have said that on the first video. I'm diagnosed with unspecified bipolar disorder. I have my highs, I have my lows, and when I'm at my low, I can't do anything. Like it just like I just don't function. Like I function a lot better these days because I've been doing this work, ironically. But still, like I have my highs and I have my lows. And so after I was diagnosed, me and my therapist was like, okay, like, well, what does Shan need? And I looked for supportive services or whatnot, and it just didn't exist. I considered very, very briefly that I would hire a housekeeper. Like, okay, like there's people who do this. Like, I can't do this in these time periods. I can hire somebody, but that that was a really short-lived thought, because I'm a person that exists in the world. So, like, of course, I've been on the internet, like, like, so I can see the things that happen, right? I can see people like posting people's private homes like online and in the world, literally the world, like jumping on them, whether they're like it's anonymous or not, like and whether they're tagging people or not, like but that absolutely disgusting, like violation of a human person, like a human being. No, like you're not gonna do that to me. I'm end up on the news. Like so that was a no on that premise, but also just like off the strength that I couldn't expect a housekeeper who is not trained in mental health or trauma informed care or whatnot to know how to respond to my needs in those moments, because like the problem in those moments is not that my home needs to be cared for. No, like the problem is that like I'm having a hard time, and I would need someone who could be responsive to my needs, not just to the home. Otherwise they could do more harm than good. But yeah, so like those are the reasons literally why self-care even exists in the first place, like because at the very least what I learned was that I'm not the only one having these challenges. Like, like there's so many people having these challenges and probably thought the same thing as I did. Like, I would love some support, but the idea of inviting a stranger at that into my home, that's a no-go because it's so vulnerable. Like it requires so much trust, first of all, to invite a stranger into your home. You don't know them. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. Which is why it's like, it takes about it can easily take people about 6 months to a year before they even reach out to self-care because they scope us out. Like I know people scope us out online, check our reviews, talk to people or whatnot because they have to feel safe. And I 100% get that. I 100% get that, like, so like there's already a level of just the act of inviting a human being that you don't know into your home requires a lot of trust. But on top of that, if you are in crisis, if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm having a hard time, I really cannot do this. Like for whatever the reason, I'm dealing with grief, I'm dealing with life, I'm dealing with whatever. To invite somebody into your home is now you can see all of that because you can see what's happening in my home and how are you going to treat me? And unfortunately our society is not set up to be compassionate in any sort of way. Like, and so there's that fear of I'm going to invite this person in and they're going to judge me, which is really painful. And even worse, they might judge me and they might put my business on Front Street, and I might be some executive somewhere. I might be a leader of an organization somewhere, someone that people know, like someone that people trust because of my strength and my, ability to do this, that, and the third thing. I can't have folks knowing that I'm having this hard time, and I can't have this person running off with my narrative, like with my story, like that. So day one, like the whole reason why self care became a thing was at the very least you have a trauma informed, hello, social worker, a trauma informed private, confidential housekeeping service. At the very least, that's what you're going to get. And that's where we started. Like, that's where we started is that you have someone safe that's going to come in and not judge you because I have no place to judge anybody. And nor would I. Like, like I don't care whether I have the shared story or not. I just wouldn't do it. But I have no place, nor would I. You so at the very least, you have a safe, company that can work with you and at least manage these parts while you're managing these parts. And then we grew and blossomed into a service that practices spatial health and wellness because it took these nearly 10 years of developing like, okay, what's actually under the hood? So not just like, okay, we know there's a connection, but how is it connected? And that's how we got here. In that, what I do want to talk about is three principles, of spatial health and wellness or spatial wellness. I think I'm gonna say seven principles of spatial wellness, but I gotta get that language down. Um, but I do want to talk about three of them because in this, again, this video or this post that I saw online, and what happens quite often is three of those principles tend to be violated in these sorts of instances. And so one is safety, right? The safety is the first principle that we lead with in the seven principles. Am I safe here? And so, like, if we think of like just our general society as a home, right? Like as a place that we all embody and live in. Am I safe here? Am I psychologically safe here? Am I emotionally safe here? Am I financially safe here? Socially safe here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like that exists in our home. Am I safe in my home? In these ways, materially safe, right? Like, am I physically safe here? Am I going to fall through the floors if I walk across the room? Am I going to get hit with something or whatnot? But also, am I safe to make mistakes? Am I safe not to, hit all the marks the way I intended to hit all the marks? Am I emotionally safe? Am I going to be dogged out, because I couldn't do something? That matters not only when it comes to in our home, but also in our broader society. In that post, in that series of whatever, and I did not go track down where the original post came from and the person, whatever, like not interested in that because I'm not interested in violence. Like I don't find violence to be like entertaining. In that moment, like that person whose home was entered or whatever, or safety was stripped away, and I can imagine that being disorienting and disrupting for more than just that moment. The second principle I want to uplift here is dignity. Dignity is actually really, really important, which is why it's a principle, right? Am I being held in a dignified way in my space? So that's not only, and so when we're talking about spatial health and wellness, I tend to talk about like, is our space communicating dignity back to us, right? Because our home is a part of us. It's head, heart, home, right? Like, so like when I am thinking of purchasing something or the type of materials that I have around the house, the way that I'm treating my things or whatnot, like, is that a communication of dignity and respect? Like, do I have furniture that I like, that I feel is quality, that does what it needs to do? And it's not about the thing, it's about how I feel about the thing. And if I feel like this dresser is run down and is ruddy and is, kind of like janky or whatever, but it's a dresser. Again, it's how I feel about it. And if that's how I feel about it, it's also me telling myself that that's all I deserve. So being aware of those things when it comes to dignity, is dignity being reflected back to me in my home, in my space? It's also in behavior, like, are my things being respected? Are they being cared for in a manner that tells me and other people in the home that I have value? So if my coat, I think I used this last time, like if I leave my coat on the couch, is someone else in the house going to throw my coat on the floor because it shouldn't be on the couch, rather than hanging it up in the closet? Because those are two different things. They tell me two different things. If my coat is hung up in the closet because that's where it goes, then that tells me, oh, there's a level of respect. My coat was there, it needed to be there, so someone was kind enough to put it where it goes. Versus, I just threw your coat on the floor because it shouldn't have been on the couch in the first place. That communicates something totally different. Like, oh, I'm disposable. I have no worth, and I don't belong here. And so if I'm somewhere I don't belong, or if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, then I get thrown away. Different things. And again, dignity. And that showed up so much in this little video spat or whatever that I unfortunately was a witness to. That woman's dignity was like completely stripped away, And under the guise of like, these people were doing the right thing, and she was in the wrong, and like, she's this terrible human being, and how dare she, and here, look at her home, look at her house. Look at her home. Like, yeah, we should all attack her. And there she go. Go find her. And y'all attack her too. Yeah, because she doesn't deserve that. And it was like this idea that they were doing something to protect her kids. Like, how? That's their mom. That's their home. How? uh, yeah. Yeah, man. I seriously just cannot. So dignity. Second principle that I wanted to uplift in this space. And the third principle that I want to uplift in this space is universal compassion. When it comes to your home, the home that you inhabit, again, head, heart, home, if there's more than one other person or one other living thing in your home, they have an entirely different orientation to the space than you do. Their relationship to this space is different. Their relationship to space is different. They have their own story, their own track, their own triggers, their own, all things. They're all different and they're all valid. And so it's really important that we are, just as much as we are discovering and identifying and holding sovereign the things that we need in, make us feel safe, or whatever the thing is, like whatever it is that we need to have a healthy balance of spatial health. Just as valid as that is for us, it's as valid for anybody else who lives in a home. And so it can easily turn into conflict when we are trying to exist in a way that feels healthy, but someone else seemingly they're kind of getting in the way of that. Like, like you're here too, but you're not doing the dishes like when you said you was going to do the dishes, or whatever it is, like you're getting in the way, and it feels like you just don't care. And then we get into these spats really quickly. That is not necessarily the case. It's harder to find that is actually the case, that someone is just like generally just doesn't care. It oftentimes is a matter of they are oriented differently, like, and it might be worth exploring, like, okay, what is actually getting in the way? Is it that like they have intention to do the thing but they keep forgetting? Whatever the circumstances are, whatever it is, like, I think it's more worth like exploring, being curious with one another to say like, okay, hey, like, this is ultimately we got the same goal, right? Like, we want to live in a home that feels healthy and balanced and functioning. That's, maybe it's happening, maybe it's not, maybe it's happening but somebody feels overwhelmed. Whatever it is, like, if we need to balance our spatial health here, figuring out like, okay, what's getting in the way versus like the accusatory lens of like, you're doing this, like, like, or I'm doing this, or we're doing this, and da 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 da, like, because it's just not effective. And so how that translates again in this situation, that universal compassion, folks on there like, oh, how could she all that bickering or whatever. It's like, if you don't even know her, like, you have no idea who that person is, you don't know what she's going through. I don't either, like, but that's a person. And if I have an inkling that something's going on, like, why am I not leaning in with curiosity of like, oh, this person seems to be going through something right now, versus like, I should dog them out because they're going through something right now. Like, how's that? Why is that the thing, man? So, yeah, I think I'm gonna let this be the end of my slightly ranty video today. But again, I wanted to deviate from where I was going because it just felt so necessary to talk about confidentiality, and again, why it's so important. And also, like, if you are someone who engages with us, please believe, like, I take confidentiality very, very seriously because I take you very, very seriously. Like, you're not going to see pictures before and after pictures. And I know companies do that, and I could see like I could see the appeal for that as a business owner, like, you want to show your work, like, I can understand that. But from where we stand and where we're coming from, that's a signal of like, this is not safe. Even if, like, I mean, I've had clients who would say like, oh yeah, post it before and after, like, so that you can grow your business or whatnot. Like, thank you, but no thank you. Like, no thank you. Because even though you are consenting and you are saying it's okay, for someone else who's watching, all that tells them is that she will do this. Like, self-care will do this, and again, that could feel unsafe, so it doesn't work. Like, generally speaking, it's just not a practice that we get into. But also, like, again, like, I think we've all been witness to, someone's home being, torn down online, without their consent. And it's really like violent and negative way. And that's just not something that I want people even think that is possible over here. It's not. We don't take pictures at all in your home, unless it is directly to you to ask about something or whatnot. And that's a 1B. And once it is done, it's off our devices altogether. We don't do so much as like take pictures of, oh, on my way to work and we on your street. Nope. Absolutely not. It's in our training not to do that. And my folks know that I don't play that. We all know that we don't play that because we actually care about people. Yeah. So I'm a in my yeah, I guess it's a full-on rant, actually. I'm in my rant here, but I just want to end it on a positive note. I'm going to bring back the 7 principles and why this, and if it's not clear right now that this is like something that I'm very, very passionate about, I'm very, very passionate about spatial health and wellness because I'm very, very passionate about people just living lives that are not only healthy and safe and functional, but living lives that are supported, that we're able to be people together. Like, I'm such a advocate, I suppose, for humans being, humans being. 7 principles of spatial wellness are safety, functionality, dignity, harmony, living infrastructure, aesthetic, and universal compassion. Please remember those, and as you reflect on your space, look around. Where are those principles showing up? Where are they not showing up? And if there are any principles that are not showing up, get curious about it. Like, why are we not doing this as well as we possibly could, in my opinion? Like, is there a way that we can do that a little bit better? Can we lean into that principle a little bit more and see what happens there? But thank you all for your time. I know this was longer than 5 minutes for sure, longer than 10 minutes, but hey, here we are. I'm figuring it out. So I appreciate you all being here figuring it out with me, and I will see you next week.